Welcome, everybody. We're here on the sidelines of CyberTalks 2022 with Philip Frigm, Section Chief of the Cyber Technical Analytics and Operations Section for the Cyber Division of FBI. Philip, thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, Philip, I'd love to ask you first off, why is it important to understand your adversary in the cybersecurity business, both strategically and tactically?
So I think honestly, it's an economic question, to be truthful. In any organization, when you're looking at how to position yourself for cyber defense, it's important to understand what it is you're defending against. Otherwise, you're spending money needlessly, you're not addressing the risks that are presenting themselves to your organization. And I think in cyber, it's less so critical that you understand, I think, individual specific threats, although individual indicators of compromise and other types of technical information may be relevant to your actual controls, but strategically understanding what it is in what we refer to as the attack kill chain, which is the methodology that any hacker is going to use. Having a general understanding strategically of how hackers actually operate, knowing your adversary, informs about where you can position your controls to best mitigate the risks that are presented to your organization. So I think it's a general accepted understanding that you just need to understand who you're opposing when you're engaging in the cybersecurity network defense type of activity.
And so, Philip, what do businesses need to know as organizations about preventing ransomware attacks and engaging with the government post-attack?
So first of all, I'd like to shift that just a little bit. I'd say it's very difficult to put yourself in a mind that prevention is the ultimate goal, because ultimately somebody's going to get in. It might not be ransomware, but somebody's going to get in if they're determined to do so. So it's more of a deterrence type of groundwork that you want to put yourself on. That said, it's important for you to have, before anything happens, before an incident happens, be prepared to answer some critical questions as an organization. I think they are, in no specific order, I think you need to understand what are your normal relationships. Do you have those normal relationships in your organization? Does your board know what your CISO is doing? Does your CISO know what his team is doing? And then across the aisle, what risk management, economics, all those other pieces, are they all talking to each other, especially communications and legal, and et cetera? So inside your organization, having this communications channel. I think it's important to understand, do you know who your third-party external legal counsel may be, when you would engage them, and under what circumstance. The same thing is true for insurance, third-party incident response or remediation organizations, the U.S. government. Have you brought them in? Do you want intelligence from them? What is it, and who you've been in contact beforehand? And then finally, I think the critical question for any organization, especially with ransomware, is what is your payment decision matrix? Know that ahead of time. Know what your critical time and thresholds are, so that you're not trying to make those decisions on the fly when you may not have access to, because invariably it's Murphy's Law. Every time that something like this happens, the person that needs to make that decision is unavailable. So having a set understanding of what your matrix looks like ahead of time is rather critical.
And Philip, as we close out, let's talk a little bit about FBI's cyber strategy. The goal of the strategy is to change the behavior of criminals and nation states who believe they can compromise U.S. networks, steal financial and intellectual property, and put critical infrastructure at risk without facing so themselves. So what role does the FBI's partnerships with companies in the cybersecurity field play?
We're out of business without those partnerships, to be perfectly blunt. Almost all of the data, systems, vulnerable or otherwise, are contained by private sector entities. The government in the United States doesn't have the ability nor the legal authority to simply watch the entire internet like some other countries do, nor do we want it that way. So it is absolutely critical to our capability to be able to bring that risk and consequence to the cyber adversary, that we have those partnerships built with the private sector. Private sector companies, like I said, they control the data, it's all theirs. We are understanding of and the sensitivities around proprietary or other types of information like PII or public health, personal health care information, stuff that a company may want to protect, and we're not looking for that. That's why it's important that we partner ahead of time. We understand what those channels are, what the most critical pieces of information are if we're to collect information in the course of an incident, so that we can respond appropriately. But I can't emphasize enough how critically important it is for us to be partners with the private sector as the owners of the data and the systems that is so critical in this space.
Philip, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your insights on FBI's cyber strategy and more.
Thank you.
Thanks.